us that will enable our research to be reproducible by someone else who wants to follow our method. That's why when you read papers and you read researches, you see what we call citations, references. I have done this following so and so method. So if not for strict adherence to methodologies, research method, it will be difficult to produce what others have done. And then in research method, in following research methods, there are different, there are two broad classifications of research methods. It's either research is qualitative or quantitative. When we talk about qualitative research, it involves collecting information from individuals, from people, based on their experiences, the behavioral aspect in their environment. So qualitative method aids researchers to obtain intricate concepts, social dynamics, and cultural phenomena. Qualitative researches are based on interview, focus group, documents, accounts, papers, observations. In this type of research, our interest is to obtain, a yes or no answer. Whether this is available here, yes. Do we have a pharmacy school in South Africa? Yes. Do we have a pharmacy school in Algeria? Yes. Do we have the pharmacy industries in Cameroon? Yes. We have API production factories in Tanzania. Yes. These are qualitative information. This gives us, what happens in our environment, what is available here, your experience. So in this type of research, the number does not matter. What matters here, what happens, is this present? How does this thing look? What's the color? Is it white or red? So when we are trying to get certain information like this that are not quantified, it is qualitative research we are doing. We still see examples. So, on the other hand, we also have quantitative research, which gathers numerical data that can be ranked, measured, categorized through statistical analysis. How many hospitals do we have in Nigeria? In qualitative research, if I can ask, do we have hospitals in Nigeria? Yes. In quantitative research, how many hospitals do we have in Nigeria? So once we start collecting data, quantifiable data from any form of research, we have gone quantitative, which we can do through questionnaires, through surveys, through data reports. Quantitative research, helps us to find how many, how much, how often, or to what extent something happens. I have some example here. For example, in my school recently there was a protest by students, and the university set up a panel to unravel the cause of the protest. So such investigation is qualitative because it involves exploring, understanding the subjective experience, motivation, perspectives of the participants, rather than focusing on measurable numerical data. The panel that was set up was looking for the cause of the protest, how the protest would have been avoided. So such information we get from this type of study are qualitative. Another example is a case study of patients. When you go to handle case study of patient file, to see, the medication the patients have gone through, the patient's history, the previous disease state, it is a qualitative research because it involves in-depth analysis of individual case, exploring details, narratives, and contextual factors to gain comprehensive understanding, rather than relying on statistical or numerical data. And the example also, we have a exam malpractice. If I'm told to check, if there is an exam malpractice, I have to ask the student why he engaged in exam malpractice. It's a qualitative information that I'm trying to get from this student, because the information I'm getting here is based on the student's motivation, perspective, experience. But on the other hand, in the next example, if I'm checking prevalence of examination malpractice, which will involve getting data and analyzing statistically, it is quantitative, because the prevalence has to do with number, how often, how many people. In our researches on plants, if I'm told to research on medicinal uses of medicinal plants, which is what is the use of this medicinal plant in our different villages, it is a qualitative information, because I'm only going to check this plant, what is it used for? Is it used for diabetes? Is it used for cancer? Is it used for this? Such information is qualitative. But if I'm going to study anti-diabetic evaluation or anti-cancer evaluation of plants, because I'm going to administer that plant to an animal or through in vitro and get some data as I will interpret, it is quantitative. Another one also is in our studies, we normally have what we call phytochemical tests. If you remember the phytochemical test you have done, especially if you have gotten to 400 level in your school, we have a phytochemical test we do, especially on plants. You see that it's classified into two. The first part of it is qualitative, because we are looking for the presence of some phytochemicals like alkaloid, flavonoid, saponins. Such test is qualitative, because we are checking whether those phytochemicals are present or not. So if they are present, positive. If they are not present, negative. So such research is qualitative. But if you are checking for the amount of these phytochemicals present, for example, if I have done qualitative test and found out that alkaloid is present, it's a qualitative study. But if I'm quantifying or checking the amount of this alkaloid present, it's now a quantitative research, because I'm quantifying what is already present. And then the next aspect of the thing we're going to discuss this evening is systematic review and meta-analysis. When you go back to your school, pick up any project, you will see that there is a part of project report called literature review. Literature review refers to the conventional approach of summarizing, synthesizing, and evaluating existing research on a specific topic. If I'm working on anti-diabetic property of any plant and I want to do literature review, I have to go and look at information, studies people have carried out on this particular plant, write them out, and summarize them. Sorry, this is the conventional literature review we do. Check out information about specific area or specific topic, read it, get all of that studies people have done in a particular field and summarize them. It's our routine literature review. But apart from this, we have what we call a systematic reviews and data analysis. Let me use the next slide to give an example. If you are conversant with journals, you know that anytime you want to submit a journal for publication or a manuscript, we still get the manuscript issue. There is an option that, especially if you are doing online submission, there's always an option for you to tell the publisher the article type. When you go through the article type, you see so many, article types. But you always see original research and reviews. The original research you see there, it means if your research is about finding new information from a particular topic, if your research is going to present results of original research, or if your article is going to present the result of original research, including details of research questions, methodology, data collection, analysis, and conclusion. But in the other part, we see reviews. Reviews provide a comprehensive summary and analysis of existing research on a particular topic. So in review, we are not entering lab. We're not going to do a questionnaire. We're not going to do any interaction. All you are doing is to get information on already existing information, to get articles on already existing publications, and summarize. As I said, if I'm working on a case study, maybe on anti-diabetic, anti-hypertension, I'm going to get articles related to anti-hypertensive, and then summarize them, and then look for a gap or gaps in what people have done previously, and give conclusion or give recommendation on how to improve what we have already existing. That's the review. Then meta-analysis. Meta-analysis don't stand alone. What we always have is systematic review and meta-analysis. Because for you to do meta-analysis, you must have generated information. You must have generated data through your systematic review or through your review. What makes review systematic? As I said before, we have what we call literature review, which we do in our conventional projects. But what we advocate now is systematic review and meta-analysis. As I told you, meta-analysis and systematic review go hand in hand, because you review information, get data, and then use meta-analysis to summarize or to analyze the results of your systematic review. So I tried to use these two table or these two boxes I provided. You can see in the middle I have clause. So they intermingle, they are together. So when you look at systematic review, unlike the conventional review, it's a comprehensive and structured review of existing literature on a specific research question or topic. As I said before, if your supervisor had told you to say, oh, go and read or go and write a review on the anti-diabetic effects of any plants, let's say Benonia, all you have to do is to go and search already published information on anti-diabetic activity of this plant. Get all those ones, get the information, get the researches and different publications on anti-diabetic effect of Benonia. Get them, get the results generated by different authors, bring them together and summarize and analyze also. So why in the other side, meta-analysis is a statistical technique that involves quantitative synthesis of data from multiple studies. You can see you have generated data from your systematic review, and you are now using statistical tools to analyze them. Then on the other hand here also, the second aspect of systematic review and meta-analysis, you have methodology. It involves a systematic and predefined protocol to search, select, critically appraise relevant studies. The process is transparent and aims to minimize bias. So in systematic, unlike other reviews, systematic review, there is a protocol, there is a specific guideline. You don't just start gathering information. There are criteria, there are criteria you put in place for selecting a particular paper. Yes, there are so many papers on anti-diabetic effect of this plant or that plant, but you don't just select randomly. You have to put a specific criteria in your method. Look at the other side of it, meta-analysis. It starts with some systematic review process, but goes a step further by using statistical methods to combine and analyze numerical data from the selected study. As I said, in systematic part review, you follow a defined protocol to get your data. While in meta-analysis, you still follow a defined statistical method to analyze the data you have collected from your review. Then systematic review also has the inclusion criteria. Inclusion and exclusion criteria are explicitly defined to ensure that the selection is unbiased. So as I told you, unlike in other reviews where you do general selection,
use my spray.
There must be in systematic review, there must be inclusion criteria. Inclusion or exclusion criteria is that for me to select this paper, it must have up to 30 participants. All this that for me to select this paper, there must be a defined criteria that each paper will meet before it will be selected for the study. While on the other hand, the inclusion of studies in meta-analysis is based on quantitative data availability. Studies with similar outcomes and measures are pooled to provide more robust statistical analysis. On the systematic review, a systematic review synthesizes the findings of selected studies using qualitative methods to provide narrative summary. Meta-analysis uses statistical techniques, calculates summary effect size, confidence interval, and systematic significance. So you can see that meta-analysis and systematic review goes hand in hand. On the first hand, you get information, set out your protocol for getting information, and the other side, set out the protocol for analyzing it. So that's why they come hand in hand. If you see anywhere meta-analysis study alone, you will see that, if you read it very well, you see that it also encompasses systematic review because you don't analyze what is not existing. You have to do your systematic review, get information, and then pull it to analysis angle to help you interpret the information you have obtained through your analysis. The next aspect we are going to look at, which is the last, is the tips in writing your first manuscript. When I started writing manuscript, I had no information. I had limited information, sincerely. All my interest was to put my name online. All I wanted was that once I go to Google and type in your friend as a query, something should come out. Something that is not Facebook or Twitter should come out. So that was, but with time, I observed that there are specific things I have to look out for. There are specific tips I have to watch out for while writing manuscripts, especially as a starter. One thing I missed was that I was never aware there are quality of journals that I sent my manuscript to. There are journals. There are different journals with different qualities. I went to India to do my PhD. By the time I came back, I wanted to go back to India again for my postdoc. So I was told by the school I was going to, CSIR, to submit my research, all my researches. I sent it to a friend of mine to go and submit for me hard copy, because the process for hard copy. So when my friend got there, he submitted it, they looked at it and made some comments. So when she called me, she told me that one of the comments was that most of my publications were not done in an impact factor journal. that most of the papers I have were not in impact factor journals. So journals have quality. So before you even start, before you even start writing manuscript, have this in mind. Because I have had some of my professors tell me that some publications they made long ago, they have removed it from their CV because they are not proud of it. Because it's not something they don't want to identify with today. So even before you start, that's why don't just do research because you just want to do anyhow. From the onset, tell yourself that this research I want to do must be published. Because sometimes we do so many things without just submit it in your school and go. You don't even try to write it up and be published. Normally, we believe that whatever that is not published has not been done. So because if I have to do literature review, for example, I don't have to go to South Africa to search their library. No. From online, I have to search published works. If I don't see anyone, I will assume it has not been done. So for you to even write a good manuscript in the first place and they publish it in a good journal is something that you have to start thinking about publication as you start doing the project. Because when you understand that journals have qualities, it will help you to do a quality work. Because there are certain things you will do in your research when you start submitting it for publication. The type of comment you're getting from reviewers may discourage you. But if you start on time to put in quality in the research, it will be easier for you to publish such papers. Easier for you to write a good manuscript. So the first tip I have here is read. Take time to read publications. Read publications from good journals. Because the more you read publications from good journals, the more you understand how research papers, how manuscripts are presented. After your project, you may have up to 100-page project. But when you are told to write the manuscript, you may find out that the manuscript or the publisher wants you to have it in 5 pages or 8 pages or 6 pages. But you already have your raw project work is 100 pages. So if you read good publications, ask your supervisors, ask your lecturers to suggest good publishers that are not predators. That you can take your time, read publications of them, you see how it's arranged. So the next tip is to define your objectives. Clearly outline the objective of your manuscript. What is the main research question? Problem you're addressing, or what are the key contributions of your work? Apart from the objective of your work, when you read journal pages, if I want to publish my paper in a journal in South Africa, I have to go and read the journal page and see the scope of the journal. Because each journal has a scope. The areas, the field of publications they collect, or the field of manuscripts they collect. So that, on the other hand, specify the outline of your work. Your objectives must be stated clearly. Then next tip is understand the journal's guidelines. I told you, any journal you want to send your manuscript to, or even before you start writing, first thing that I know that I want to submit my manuscript to this journal, I have to go to the journal page and read their guideline. Their guideline will tell you how to prepare your manuscript. Manuscripts vary from journals to journal. This journal will have their own guideline. When you go to other journals, you see a different guideline. So you don't just write anything and if you submit without following the guideline, the chief editor will not even send it for review. He will return it to you. So familiarize yourself with specific guidelines and formatting requirements of a journal you intend to submit to. Each journal may have its own set of guidelines, guiding structure, word count, citation style. There are different citation styles. And then when we type our work, when we use our laptop for typing or use type on Microsoft Word, most of us are too conversant with the Time New Romans. Not all journals use Time New Romans. So it's only when you read the guidelines, you see, okay, this journal don't use Time New Roman. They use Calibrate. So there are so many different guidelines for each journal. So you need to read it before you start writing. Organize your thoughts. Create a standard outline before you start writing. Divide your manuscript into sections. This organization you can find in journal guidelines. Some journal will tell you introduction, methods, results, discussion. Some will tell you result and discussion. So once you read the guideline, you get this thought and to help you to arrange whatever you are doing. Start with method section. One thing I normally do is that when I want to start the paper publication, when I want to start writing manuscript, I get a rough paper and write out my methods. The method will help me to know what I have done, to know the ones I did not do, so that in writing up, it makes it easier for you, even in your introduction, so that you don't go outside what we have done or what we are supposed to report. Write clearly and concise. Manuscript is not where you write a very long or ambiguous grammar. Make it very simple, because other people are going to read your work, and the intention is to read it and understand it and make correction. So don't use unnecessary grammar that is not required. Make it very simple that anybody who picks it to review will do that with ease. The next tip is cite relevant literature. Citations and referencing is one of the very important components of the manuscript. Each journal guidelines will tell you this is how we want you to cite your work. This is how we want you to reference your work. So you don't just cite, you don't just say, oh, I was taught in my school to use APA. If you go to each journal site, you will see how you expected to reference or cite your work. Support your arguments and findings by referencing relevant literature. Any point you make, especially in your introduction and your discussion, and even method, any information that you are giving that you are not the author, please, even pictures. When you get the picture from online and put in your write-up, cite the source, unless you capture the picture yourself with your phone. Present your result effectively. Use tables, use figures, use graphs. This information can also be gotten from the journal guideline. There are different forms. For example, tables. You will see in research papers, you see tables with lines, columns, rows. But in some papers, you see tables without lines. So all these specifications, makes it easier for the reviewer to easily go through your work. So craft a compelling introduction. Make your introduction very attractive. As I said, it's not where you tell a story. Tell us in your introduction, tell us the background of your work and the gap this your work will fill. Somebody needs to read the first 4 to 5 lines of your work and be interested in it. So don't just start telling stories like the way we do write exams sometimes. You start telling stories, write unnecessary things, go straight to the point. Because the person who will read your work will take it, once you start reading it, you need to be captivating so that you can happily read it and see, without even going through your methods or this one, see the angle of research your paper is going to. So all these things can find, if you write your introduction well, and the gap your research will fill up. It makes your manuscript captivating. Engage in peer review. Seek feedback from colleagues or mentors. Peer review is crucial for improving the quality of your manuscript. Peer review, get people, in fact, before you send out your work, send your manuscript. After writing it, or even before you start writing, seek advice from others who have gone a step above you, or mentors, or anybody you think that has some information in this field or a manuscript writing. Get your peers, ask them one or two things, share what you want to do with them, so that you can get criticism, whether favorable or not favorable. It will help you to improve and write a better manuscript. Revise and edit. Take time. If you start writing your manuscript, don't just present or write a manuscript yourself once without going back to read what you have written. I always tell people, when you are writing what you have written, so no, when you are reading what you have written, you may not see certain errors. Our human brain is made in such a way that I may have intention to write I am going. For example, I want to write I am going. That's what I want to write. That is what is inside my head to write. But in error, I might have written I have gone. My intention is to write I am going. But I, in error, wrote something else. When you keep reading those things yourself, because your brain, what is inside your brain is that I want to write I'm going. When you keep reading what you have written yourself, you may need to read it multiple times before you observe the error in what you have written. Why? Because you have some other things in your brain. When you are looking at what you have written, and then you may be seeing what's inside your brain, not what you have actually written. That's why sometimes when some other person go through your work, they'll tell you, or even after exam, or in exam, you may be thinking you have written this, that. But when the result comes out, and when you are giving your script to review, you'll be seeing something else. Oh, is this what I wrote? It's not totally your fault to an extent. That's why even in exam, after writing, you have to go through what you have written calmly, read it again and again and again, to make sure that what you intend to write is what you have written. Because sometimes you have written something else, but you intend to write this, but maybe you are in a hurry, you have written something else. So take time to revise and edit, check for clarity, coherence, consistency, pay attention to grammar, spelling, punctuation. Sometimes we make mistakes in spelling without even knowing. So seek professional advice in editing if possible. Be patient and persistent. Writing a manuscript takes time. Be patient with the process. Don't be discouraged by setbacks. Keep refining your work and seek guidance when needed. Don't be in a hurry to just publish anything or send whatever or write anything in your manuscript. Follow ethical guidelines. Each journal will tell you this is the ethical that you must, for you to, for example, if you're working with animals, there are ethical standards. There are ethical approvals to do certain studies. You're working with animals, if it's a research that involves human, you have to get approval. Even if it's an oral interview, you must seek approval. You must get approval from appropriate authorities before you can do certain things. And then cite clearly and avoid plagiarism. If you know what plagiarism is, that you may have gotten information from another paper, cite it well.
Okay.
If you don't paraphrase, it's plagiarism. So take your time, go through the work, and then And then write sentences in your own understanding and still cite and reference. Lastly, rejections. There are times you write manuscript and submit it to be rejected. Don't be discouraged. What I do when my papers are rejected is that I look at the reviewers' comments. What did they mention here that I did not do? What suggestion did they give? What lapses caused the rejection? So by the time I look at these things, I will gather all the comments, repackage my paper, submit it to another good journal. Sometimes you send first, rejected, second, rejected, keep practicing. Time will come when you will master the process, master how to write a good journal. Because as a starter, rejection can discourage you. You have wasted your time, so much time writing a particular paper or manuscript, then you submit it, you get a negative feedback, rejected. This one was not done because of this, because of that. In fact, sometimes they won't even tell you why it was rejected. That's why you need to seek counsel from other people or from those who you know have gone through that process. And then finally, remember that writing a manuscript is a skill that improves with practice. So you need to keep writing and practicing. Don't hesitate to seek guidance from mentors, colleagues, or writing workshops. Each revision brings you closer to a polished and well-articulated manuscript. Thank you so much, and I hope you must have gotten one or two things from this presentation that will help us in our researches and every other thing we do for the betterment of our society, our nations, and our continent, and the world at large. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Innocent Mary, for that insightful session. I'm sure we've all learned something from when he started till the end. It was such a great session. Thank you again. Now I'd like to open the floor for questions. You can either indicate with a hand to be unmuted, or you can type your question in the chat box.
Somebody's raising hand. Someone said, how can we get this PowerPoint for future reference? I will send it to the organizers so they can share. Okay, somebody said, must one cite an author even after paraphrasing? Yes, you must cite, because what you have actually paraphrased is not yours. You paraphrased someone's original words. You paraphrased someone's original information. So that's why you still have to cite. See, when things are scanned, when we do plagiarism check using applications, once the app detects exact statement, it records it as plagiarism. So that's why you cite, you put it in your reference, and you still paraphrase. That's the only way your work will be plagiarism free. In fact, once you send the work for publication, the publishers, in fact, some publishers scan it first for plagiarism. Some, they tell you once it's more than 10% plagiarism, if it records more than 10%, they will reject it or they will send it back to you. So that's the thing. You cite it, you reference, still paraphrase.
I have a question regarding the publishing of a journal. So for maybe a student, maybe are there free sites where you can publish a journal, or the sites in which journals are published do they usually require subscription fee, and what is the range?
Okay, subscription fee. Yes, you see free journals, you see subscription, you see journals that you have to pay for. There are, when you see free journals, there are journals that are sponsored, like FIP. For example, FIP have a journal called Research Education. So it's sponsored by FIP. So it's an open access journal. Anybody can submit manuscript there. It's free. You won't be charged. These journals that you pay for, I'm involved in reading reviews for journals that are not free. So what they do is that they charge you some money because they are companies that make money. They make money from it and also use it to pay their reviewers. So certain journals charge. There are some good journals that don't even charge. It's free because some organizations are sponsoring them. So what I do, I know that I sent a journal for publication in one journal, and then they were asking me for $200. So I don't have $200 to give them for that publication. I had to involve collaborators, get those involved in the work, who played one or two roles in the work, not those who didn't play any role in the work. Even I brought in a friend of mine who helped me to arrange the work, even though he was not part of the research, but he helped me to arrange the work and check the grammar. So I involved the person. Why I did it, that's so that you can share the cost. But don't bring in those who aren't part of the work. Get in those who are actually part of the work. That's why we say collaborate with people. Collaborating with people will give you ideas, and if you are sending it a publication that costs, you all can share the cost. So the most important thing is that the journal has quality and good impact, whether it is free or it's not free. Some schools pay for journals for their researchers or for their scholars. I know most schools in India, once we are publishing, the school has a fund with which they support their researchers. If it's $50 to pay, sometimes the school will pay 50% of it, and then the student pays the other part. Once it's an impact factor journal and has quality. One thing good journal does is that it gives your school good image. Because when anything you are publishing, you are writing your school there. So it's because when the quality of universities are checked, one thing that is checked is their citations. What is the research output of lecturers in those schools? What are the research output of researchers in those schools? So that's, I don't know whether I answered your question. So another person said, when you get rejected, you start over or you keep sending to another journal. You start over pending on the reviewer's comment. Because when your papers are reviewed, there are some comments that are made. There are some journals that allows you to make those corrections and send back to them. Or you can make those corrections and send to another good journal. You can still even send back to the same journal if you have implemented their concerns. So that's if you are rejected, don't be discouraged. Improve your work. There are so many journals that are willing to accept your good work. Understood systematic review, but I'm requesting you pardon me briefly on what exactly meta-analysis is. Meta-analysis is just using standardized tools to analyze your work. Systematic review, you have a protocol, a standard protocol through which you have generated your data. As I told you, in normal literature review we gather any information, but in systematic review, you have to state both the source of your papers, the criteria you use in selecting those papers. You know, we don't just go to Google and type in the topic of your review topic and start collecting everything you see. No, you have to specify the cloud, the cloud publication where you got your information from, and the criteria you put in place in selecting the papers you are using for your review. The same way, when it's time for you to analyze, there must be, you know, what defines that the analysis is positive? What defines that the analysis is negative? Sometimes we use statistical tools like P greater than 0.05, thorough statistical analysis, and over the student T text. This things gives you a good analysis result or analytical result. These are what we call meta analysis. It's not just based on general conclusion. No, there must be a statistical tool you specify for the work, the criteria for accepting the work as positive work, or the criteria for labeling the work as a negative, or the result as negative. Some other person said, when writing introduction from manuscript, is it compulsory to make references and citations to what I'm writing in introduction statement? Yes. If you look at your introduction, most times it is based on the information you got from online. Go and state most of introductions, and there are some certain statements you cannot make because you're not the author. If I'm writing on malaria, for example, you see most of us will always write in introduction that malaria is endemic in Africa, that up to 1 million people were diagnosed of malaria in 2025, 2 million people died. Those type of information, you are not the source. Somebody else has done the research, either through WHO, and they posted it online. So most of those information, once you are not the original author of such information, you have to cite it. People can also cite your work based on the results you have generated. If I'm working on anti-diabetic effect of medicinal plant, for example, and in my introduction, I'm mentioning diabetes and that some plants has anti-diabetic effect, I have to cite someone who have researched on plants and show that plants have anti-diabetic effect. So whatever you are doing in your introduction, your introduction is like a background knowledge, what we already know. And it's somebody generated those information. That's why you have to cite them. Someone other said, is it a must for citation to be in text? Or am I free to indicate the scholarly resources I have used in, like after paragraph? Yes, now if the whole paragraph that you have to do is compulsory, the insight is compulsory. Some journals use number to do insights, while some use the first author and then a tal and BA. So it's compulsory. That's why if you read manuscripts already published, you will see all these things. It's compulsory. So what's the difference between a concept paper and a research proposal? See, when our students want to do research these days, tell them to go and write proposal. You cannot start a work these days if you are working with some supervisors without proposal. Is in proposal that you define what you intend to do. You know, proposal, you know, gives you guideline. Is in proposal you say this is what I intend to do, and then this is what I will do, and then this is the limits of my work. This is what my work will cost me. proposal helps you to know that, helps you to watch, to ensure that you don't go, you don't go below what you plan to do or beyond what you plan to do. Proposal tells you the cost. When you see good proposal, you see that there's a cost, especially if somebody is going to fund your work and you are going to and you are going to submit a proposal to the person. You must give the person a proposal, so that the person will see, the what you plan to do, what you need to use the work to do. In fact, because without proposal, you just be doing things randomly. But proposal gives you step by step. Once you have done this step, you have done this step. Once you have done this step, in fact, in our universities today, for those doing masters, before you can even start your work, you have to do proposal, and your proposal must be approved. If your proposal is not approved, it cannot be done. A concept paper is written before each author begins research, and the research paper is written after they are complete. Yes, concept paper and proposal, are very, very similar. But in but concept paper in research institutions or schools, we normally find it named the concept paper, but in certain organizations, in research institutions and schools, we call it proposal. But in certain organization, concept. In fact, for example, in Nigeria, we have the TED Fund. Before TED Fund tells you to submit a proposal for your research, if they have to fund it, they demand you to submit a concept note. A concept note is just a brief summary of what you intend to do. Normally, a proposal is longer. A concept note is the concept note that you tell the capacity you have for the work. The concept note is to tell that you have capacity for this work. You have you don't necessarily need to have all the equipment, but they want to make sure that you have the capacity to do the work. You have the human capacity. You have in concept paper, for example, if I'm submitting a concept note, I have to mention all those I'm going to do the work with, their rank, their expertise, and then my knowledge about the work. Because anybody who wants to submit proposal want to make sure you have a good knowledge first, even before you start submitting the proposal. So here in Nigeria, TED Fund normally sponsor our project, but before they tell you to bring a proposal, first you have to submit to them a concept note or paper that shows what you want to do, and then that's showing that you have the capacity to do the work. Then those who their concept paper pass through the first stage will now be invited to present their proposal. Some other person asked another question. Can you elaborate on self-plagiarism? Or once you have submitted your work, even though it's your own, you
Sir, could you please unmute? Hello, sir, could you please unmute?
Okay, so I was saying you cannot lift a work from your previous research and put in your new research because you are the author. No, it's a plagiarism. You have plagiarized yourself. So you still have to cite, and most times it's not even good to over cite yourself. You cite yourself when necessary, but even in citing yourself, you have to rephrase the whatever you are saying there. And then somebody asks, when referencing, can you copy word to word, or should there be a no? Don't copy word to word. Okay, referencing is not yours. Once you get any reference, you don't need to rephrase it. No, don't rephrase it because it's a topic. What you normally see in references are the authors, the topic, the journal name. No, that's why when publishers are doing plagiarism check, they normally remove references. They remove the reference section because if you check reference section, you've seen things that look like plagiarism, but they are not. Because you cannot rephrase somebody's name. If my name is Ejiofor, you cannot say you want to rephrase it. If you rephrase it, it will not give you anything. So, and you cannot rephrase the topic of a project. The topic will remain the same. That's why in citation, sorry, in references, you see the name of the author, the year, the topic, the publisher, and then the volume number or issue number. Somebody said ethical guidelines. There are different ethical protocols. If I'm writing a journal, a manuscript that involves animals, every school have a animal ethics committee. Some also have human ethics committee. You have to make sure that before you start research with animals or human, you apply for ethical clearance. We call it ethical clearance. In fact, no journal will publish your work, no good journal will publish your work if it involves animals or humans without approval, without ethical approval from your institution or from the necessary organization. Somebody said conflict of interest. Conflict of interest in papers is that if I publish this work today, nobody will query the journal or the publisher. I have done a work, for example, with my professor, and I decide to go and publish the work without my professor. If tomorrow my professor sees that publication, it's a problem. He can query me and query the journal that he is part of, and if he proves that he is part of the work, or if somebody has sponsored the work, I cannot publish that work without acknowledging the sponsor. So the conflict of interest is that if I publish this work, or if this publisher puts this work online, nobody will query the publisher. Why did you do this without my consent? Why do you do this without my consent? So your paper manuscript must not generate conflict. Nobody will come to me and say, I have an issue with this work. This person did not take my approval for conducting this test, or this person did not tell me he's going to publish this work. Look at on Facebook. Sometimes when you put pictures on Facebook or even tunes or audios, you have to state that this thing is not mine, or that it's not for commercial, whatever. So these are all done to avoid conflict. Nobody will come up to God and say, no, these things you put online is against my interest, it's against this, against that. Thank you so much for, please give explanation on submitting journals again. Please, I said before you submit any journal, in fact, before you even start writing, you have to identify the journal you want to submit to and go to their website and read their author's guideline. There's a section called author's guideline. That's where you're going to get all the information you will need about the journal, the pros and cons of the journal, what the journal will need from you, what journal don't need from you. Once you read these information, you abide by them while writing, so that submitting manuscript goes through different stages. Once you submit, the editor of the manuscript will read it. The editor of the manuscript may not be an expert in that field. What the editor is reading is to make sure that you wrote your manuscript following the guideline they have given. So once it is in the guideline of the journal, then they can now send it to reviewers to read. But once it's not in the guideline the way they specified, it will be thrown out. So when writing your references, will it be author of the published research you found in it, or you have to look for the original? It's the original. Please use the original. You are looking for the original author. Because see, it's not, we are not going to be fair to original author, because this person, even though there's what we call secondary referencing, but if I have done a work, we normally have the sites that count the citations of our work. So imagine that you have done a work and published. Somebody lifts the results of your research, puts it in another paper, and then cites you. Then tomorrow another person will go and lift the same thing and cite the person who lifted your own. No, so what we always advise is that cite the original author. If you don't cite the original author, see, people will continue to take your own without you getting the credit or citation. So what is professionally done is to cite the original author. Whatever we are doing, any method we are putting. And also, if I take something from original author and then rephrase, in setting my method, I can say, yes, this thing was done according to so and so et al. With some modifications. Because the primary information did not come from me. So please, citations is very important. And all. Didn't receive my particular ID. If any current study area. Please, I'm carrying a study that involves an area, scope being just in Africa, for example, of which the only research publication I can find online just one or two. Do I go ahead to review just these two or the one? Go ahead. Go ahead. In fact, it's even good for you if you have done your review and find out you don't have so much publication on this area. It's even good, because by the time you publish your own, those who will do that similar work subsequently, by the time you will be an authority over the work. In fact, what we aim to do most times in research is to get new knowledge that we are going to provide for people to see and cite, and they make good information from. So that you are seeing only 2 citations or 3, or 2 papers or 3 in the area you want to work should not discourage you. Go on the same way, go on. In fact, with time now, there are some citations you can no longer even do. I know that I once submitted a paper, then there was a citation there reading 1970 something. So the publisher asked me, is it that since 1979, there have not been any work on this? So even citations we do. Some papers will tell you, don't give us citations that is more than 10 years. So do your own and submit. Do your own, don't be discouraged. In fact, it's a good step that work we are doing, not so much people have done such work before. So, don't know whether there is any other question the organizers. I hope are you there?
Yes, I am, sir. Thank you so
Okay.
much, sir. That was a very, very amazing session, and we hope to really achieve our aim, because the aim is that, like you said, we need more researchers in the profession. We need people to advance science, to discover new things, and that's why we put on this project. And we hope at the end of the project, we have a new generation of early career researchers that understand the fundamentals and basics of research writing. And thank you so much, sir, for taking your part so well. I've sent you the sheet, and for now, all what I've been saying are 5/5 for your session. Thank you so much. It was really amazing.
Before I round up, somebody asked me to explain something about this concept note, whatever.
Okay.
So the last thing I would say that typically the essence of concept note is to serve as the first stage of a project proposal. The first stage, the proposal will still come. And it needs to be properly crafted in order to capture the attention of the potential funders. It's when the funders see your concept note, and it's very attractive to them, they can say, okay, submit your proposal, let's see. And so it's the first stage of proposal. It can also outline your objectives, your method, the expected result, budget. You can capture that, but it's just good that it's the first stage of the proposal, which your funders can look at and say, okay, submit to us the full details of your proposal, so that we see whether it's what they can fund. So thank you so much.
All right, thanks so much, sir. Just one last question. Somebody says, is it possible to cite a work on your own research and still be charged for plagiarism?
Okay, citing yourself.
Yes.
As I said, if you cite yourself, you must, if you leave something from your previous work that belongs to you, you must rephrase. In the angle of citing yourself, don't cite yourself unnecessarily. These days, excessively citing yourself is an academic crime. Because sometimes, because I want to go to my Google Scholar and find 100 citations in a month, I can decide to write a paper and put 10 citations of my previous work. Don't cite yourself when it's not necessary. Cite yourself when it's necessary. And then even in citing yourself, if there is no need to cite yourself, don't even cite yourself at all. But even if you must cite yourself, there must be paraphrasing of your previous information you published. Like I said, if I have done a previous work, very novel work. Okay, for example, I did a work again on the plant. I isolated a very pure compound, a novel compound. Nobody had ever isolated it. So I published the work. Then I did another work to check the pharmacological effect of the new compound I isolated. So because nobody has ever isolated that compound, so when I was writing the second manuscript of the pharmacological effect of the compound I isolated, I made a reference that I have previously isolated this compound, and I cited that paper because it was very necessary in that condition. Because I'm not going to just say that, oh, I got this compound from heaven and started working with it. There's a source of that compound. And because I was the one who isolated it previously, it's a novel compound, I had to make reference to it before then continuing with the current work I did. So that's the thing.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Time is fast spent, everyone. If you still have more questions, maybe connect with Dr. Inosemiri on LinkedIn, and hopefully you can maybe have a chat with him, and so on. So thank you so much, sir. We are very, very appreciative. We would also reach out again to send more appreciation and maybe invite you for future programs. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
All right, everyone, you can unmute your mic and please say a huge thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, sir.
so much,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, very. Thank you. You cannot.
Thank you.
Thank everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Somebody's work without
That's
charging
it.
the person can charge you. But if you cite, you can give credit. That's what that's. Cite and give credit. But if
Thank
you
you
don't
very
cite,
much.
I can
It was
arrest
really
you.
great having you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
All right, sir.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Okay, bye.
Everyone, endeavor to fill in the attendance link. It will close in about 30 minutes. Thank you, and see you next week. Tomorrow is for the French session.
Please, Sir Yusuf,
Yes, sir.
please, is there a WhatsApp group for this session? For the
No, sir.
Okay. So we're sending the slides on.
There would be a group for stage 2 and stage 3, but for now we have a very large number, so we are taking just email. So I'll be communicating via email. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I think I still have some time. If anyone has any other question, you can please ask before I end the meeting.
Please,
How about taking a picture?
Oh, sure.
Please, how do we get the slides?
I'll send it via email.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Yusuf,
Yes, yes.
sir.
I wasn't present at the last meeting, so I want
Okay.
to ask, will Mr. Innocent Mary still teach us on citing and referencing?
There's a different session on that. So if you check the first email I sent to everybody, I included like the official schedule. So this was week 2. I think if I'm not wrong, the session on referencing should be 1, 2, 3, 4, should be on week 3. Yes, that should be next week. On referencing styles, use of referencing software, citation, bibliography, and all those things. So that's for next week.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
For every week, you have something different that you're learning, right? So we divided it into 5 weeks because research is very broad. You can't take everything in one go. That's why we made it into 5 weeks of workshop. So just try to attend all sessions. I remember you can not advance to phase 2 if you don't have up to 80% of your attendance. So it's very important that you attend. You can do the maths as much as possible of the sessions. Yes, more questions.
Please, I think during the first assessment, there's a feeling. It's just a feeling that I made a mistake and used someone's code in answering. That is at the end. I think I used 056 instead of 057 at the end.
Okay, so
Is there
no
a
worries.
way?
Send me an email with your own code and the wrong code I use. Send me an email. I would help work on it.
Mr. Yusuf.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
I've got 2 questions.
Go ahead, please.
My internet was breaking the time somebody was trying to find out whether there's a WhatsApp group for these sessions, and then I also need your email in. So I'm wondering how I can get in touch with you. Thank you.
My email.
Yes, your email.
How did you join this session? Who sent you the email?
Hello?
The meeting link, where did you get it from?
I got it from the email, yes, but I do not know. Is that your email? Is that your personal email?
No, that's my official email, so you can send anything via the email.
Oh, okay, fine. All right. And then concerning the WhatsApp group?
Yes, so again, there's no WhatsApp group for this phase. We have over 580 people. So they are working just on via emails. So after this phase, those that make it into the next phase for collaboration, for writing, for mentorship, then we would put everybody on a platform, which may not be WhatsApp. We are looking at the Young Researchers platform. It's something that is very interactive where you can collaborate more. And if there would also be a WhatsApp platform, I'll let you know. But right now there is no WhatsApp group.
Hello.
Hi.
All right,
Please, the guy who said he used the wrong code, that code is actually my code. I hope there's no
No.
How there's not going to be any confusion with our scripts
No,
and
no worries. Don't worry. Send me your own name as well. Your the name. Oh, don't worry. I have the name of the original person, so I'll know how I would do it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Let me check the chat. Someone says, how do you guys, so I'll send last week's slides and this week's slides and also the recordings to you. I'm not sending them because I haven't gotten them yet. But the speaker promised to send it this night for last week. So once I get it, I would also message Dr. Innocent Mary to send his, and then I'll send both together. Same thing for the recording. This what if I missed week 1? I think there's nothing you can do about that. You already missed it. Just endeavor to attend the remaining three sessions. That's all I can say. And you can watch the recording to learn what was gotten. But in terms of attendance, I'm not sure you can do anything about that. I can get a recording of today. Sure, you would get it. Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Or we call it today? All right, great. Thank you for joining. If you are French or if you are bilingual, there's also a French session tomorrow on the same topic, so you can also join. Or I would see you next week for week 3. Thank you so much. Ivy, could you please end the call? I think you're currently the host.
Okay.
Cool.